So by using simple tricks which I've showed you, you can create a melody like this. What's up and welcome to another tutorial, and today we're going to create an emotional guitar Afrobeat in FL Studio. So I hope you enjoy. So in this tutorial, first I'm going to create the melody layers, and I'm going to start off with some simple chord layers. So for this beat I want to add some typical Afrobeat elements, but I'm also going to select some random elements from random plugins which I not use that often. So I'm going to start off with the Whirly V2, and the mid-range preset is an awesome preset. Disable, so I'm gonna lower the time and the tremolo, so the sound isn't vibrating that much. So the scale is already in G sharp minor, and that's exactly the scale which I'm gonna use because I'm gonna add that Spanish ethnic feeling to the beat. You can do this by selecting options, view, scale highlighting, and select G sharp in minor natural. And then I'm just gonna start by drawing in the first chord. So we're using this G, B and D. So let's adjust the BPM to 105 for example. Then I'm just copying this one, Ctrl C, Ctrl V. And then I'm looking for a note which fits the scale. So let's use a scale which starts from the root note D sharp in this case. Just copy the same chord progression again. And this is how you build simple chord progression. So we're going to use the next note which fits the scale. Alright, now we have two options going down or upwards. But maybe just use the same chord progression as I did right here, just to keep it simple. So as you can hear, a beautiful chord progression. Alright, I'm going to use the exact same chord progression which I've created and layer it with a synth from Omah Lay. So just search for crystal and found crystal keys. Copy the exact same progression to this one. So now I'm creating an 8-bar progression. So now I'm expanding the chord progression from 4 bars to 8 bars. Alright, now just let's start off with a vocal sample. So I'm gonna use Arcade. Plugin is finally working again on the M1 Mac. And right now just search for vocal. And let's use this priceless bank, just a key to minor and then select G sharp. And this is the exact same scale as we used to create the melody. So let's use this one.
No, there's no replacing you, babe. No, love you. Just wanna love.
And let's use this one in G.
No, there's no replacing you, babe. Love you. Just wanna love you. Just wanna.
That sounds great, so just copy it again. And I think I want to remove the final part.
Love you. Just wanna love you.
So I'm lowering down the volume a little bit, and right now I'm gonna add the next element. And let's use another synth from Omah Lay. And I think I want to get a plug or bell which is in the background and really add some more ambience to the beat. So maybe search for a famous rapper or Quavo. Oh. Alright, now just also let's start off with a G sharp.
No, there's no replacing you, babe.
Copy this one to right here.
Love you. Just wanna.
So I'm turning off oscillator B. So by adding this element, I'm adding more ambience to the beat.
No, there's no replacing you, babe. Love you. Just wanna love you. Just wanna.
Alright, now maybe just add one simple element. So I want to add a bassline which I'm going to use to keep the arrangement interesting. So I'm going to use my Serum Bass preset pack, the link is in the description. And I'm going to use Serum Bass preset 2. Alright, now I'm just going to start off at G, which is the root note. So for example, draw it in like this. Select it, press Command or Alt on Windows, arrow down. Alright, now we're gonna at the interesting part. So I'm gonna use Contact and I'm gonna create a more advanced guitar melody on top of the chord progression. So I'm gonna use the guitars from Ilya Efimov, which I like to use. And I'm gonna use the NG guitar, which is kind of a Spanish guitar. And if you find it difficult to get along with my tutorials, I just released a new masterclass. The link is also in the description, and it will guide you through everything you need to know to get along with my tutorials. And it will teach you all the techniques and basics you need to create awesome music. So I highly recommend checking it out. First, I'm copying the chord progression into the guitar. Let's just solo the guitar by pressing Command and then just selecting this one. So we're gonna mute all the other instruments, selecting it, turning it down 1 octave, removing the second part because we're gonna copy the first part when it's finished, making the notes a little bit shorter. And then let's start off by creating a simple progression. Still pretty simple, right? So now we're gonna add a layer on top of this one. And let's just use the melody from the chord progression 1 octave higher. Something like this. Maybe use an A sharp. Maybe let's continue with the D sharp. I think we're using this E, that sounds awesome, maybe a little bit off, but I think that's the E string kind of sound. And do something exactly the same as I did right here. And maybe add a B. Right now the melody sounds way too flat, so I'm gonna press Alt R. So right now I'm gonna randomize it. I'm gonna disable bipolar and turn down the velocity like this. Copy the whole pattern, create an 8-bar melody. So I've played around with the length of some of the notes, and right now it sounds like this. So I'm linking all those elements to the mixer from insert 20, and I'm adding some reverb to the guitar. Removing some high frequencies from the vocal. So use shape, high cut. And also use a low cut to remove some of the mid frequencies. And also add a lot of reverb. So I'm going to select plate to create more kind of compact reverb. And remove the low frequencies from the reverb. And I'm also adding some more reverb to the flute. I'm using room. Turning down the volume. So that's it when adding some basic elements. So I want to add a bass guitar, but first I want to add some drums so we can have a feeling how the rhythm sounds. So I'm selecting the producer kit and I'm using my Afrobeats producer kit, drum one-shots, kicks. So I'm going to use a kick which does not contain a lot of high frequencies. So I'm starting off at C. Creating this simple 4x4 kick pattern. And then I'm selecting a snare alternative, which are some great percussions which I've created, which are awesome to use to layer or just use as your snare or rim. So let's use snare 2 and maybe play around with the volume of the last one. Oh! Awesome, so right now we're gonna build multiple layers. So I'm gonna select the rim shot. So let's use this one. And when you want to create a full and professional sounding drum loop, just layer multiple elements and play around with it. So you fill up all the frequencies and it sounds full. So just copy this one into this one. Play around with the pitch. I've also turned down the snare alternative to G sharp and it sounds like this. Totally new and different vibe. and it's missing some high frequencies. And if you want to add more high frequencies to the sounds without ruining the sound which you've created, you can use a simple track by adding in a hi-hat. So let's use this generic simple one, copy this into this one, and then play it at C. So now I'm gonna use those elements, layer them, and link them to the mixer. So now I'm gonna disable the bassline, and I'm gonna insert the ample bass A, which is by far my favorite bass guitar synth or plugin. So first I'm gonna build it at G#4 and then lower it down. So this will be the rhythm which I'll be following. So if you want to create a bass line, which I'm going to create, just draw in some notes to already define the rhythm. And then we're going to add more notes and later on copy the exact progressions. As for example, if we want to go from G# to D#, just use some notes in between. So for example, this F, C, and E in the notes in the scale. That's fire. So do something similar. For example, use the C and D. And use a note in front. So maybe let's use this F#. Right now let's copy those notes again and adjust it to this, for example. Alright, now we want to add that human feeling, so I'm going to play around with the velocity manually. So I've turned the bassline down 1 octave, so it sounds way deeper and more powerful, and adjust the volume of every note until I liked it. And right now it sounds like this. So this reminds me of a lot of beats which are produced by KLP, one of my favorite Afrobeats producers. And he uses kind of similar bass patterns. So right now just draw pattern 1 into the arrangement, and I'm gonna of course use a shaker loop from my sample pack. I'm gonna use the shaker loop 7th, which is my favorite shaker loop at the moment. Adjust it to 40%. Insane bounce on this one. And right now just let's add some swing. 20% is perfect when it comes to Afrobeats. And I'm gonna expand the drum loop. So add some more elements. So I'm gonna select the tom, natural, bongo. Let's add the first one. Add the third snare. And then maybe add wooden sound, bamboo stick. Let's add this one. So this is a pattern from the MIDI presets which are included in the Afrobeats producer kit. Alright, now just create a drum roll. So I'm gonna select toms, processed, use this one, then select some mid tom, low tom, and let's use this one. I'm also selecting some random elements when it comes to creating a drum roll. So first select low tom 15, and something which I like to add to my Afrobeats is using some 1/3 rhythms creating my drum roll. Then I'm using high tom 20, then select 1/4, try 4 notes, then use high tom 19. That's it. And now the mid tom, maybe replace the low tom by the mid tom and use the low tom at the end. That's fire. And right now just add another clap impact. Let's use this clap. So So right now I've created all the elements and you guys are asking me how to create an arrangement. So I'm going to show you the first steps and then I'm going to build the arrangement myself. But first, just enable all the elements. Then I'm just going to copy this one and paste it into pattern 2 because on pattern 1 I want to have all the elements in one channel rank. And then I'm going to pattern 2, left mouse button, then I'm selecting split by channel. That's it. So as you can see, when you select picker and patterns, FL Studio split all the channels. So right now, use shift, all patterns are selected and just select a random one and then just draw them in. And I don't like to assign names to the tracks, so I have to adjust it like this later on. Remove this one. And as you can see, when I create the beat, I'm already organizing. So I have my melody layers on top and I have the drums at the bottom. And right now when you want to create an arrangement, just press Ctrl C and then press Ctrl B 4 times. That is how I start off. So right now you could just start off with some elements. So let's start off, for example, just with the wordy and the contact guitar. Remove all those ones and maybe just leave the clap right there. Then we're gonna transition to the next part. I'm using the bass line and this is how, and I've created this one to keep it interesting. The flute, arcade, omnisphere, remove the bass, and I'm still not going to use those elements. And we now still want to create a bottom, so removing the bass right here. Also remove the contact bass, saw bass, remove the vocal sample, and that's it. So this is how I arrange my beats. So let's have a listen. Maybe remove this one. Still a lot of going on, interesting. Drums coming in, maybe use an effect at the bottom right here, along with the clip. Move the bass line, of course, the ample bass line, funky guitars coming in. So this is how you can start creating the arrangement. And right now just maybe download another beat and just copy the arrangement. And because you've created layers yourself, you're not able to fully copy it, and just play around with it. And make sure to keep it logic. So right now I'm gonna finalize the beat, do some mixing, create the final arrangement and guide you through the final beat. So this is the final arrangement. As you can see, I've not changed that much, but just added this part. So now I'm gonna talk you through the beat, show you what effects I've added. So I hope you enjoy it. As you can see, I've made an adjustment to the guitar. Remove the top part, so the melody part. Added this effect. Used a high cut filter on the master, this one. So I've adjusted this one, just select it and automate it. Added an EQ, some kickstart, shape a box on the vocal just to create some more and widen it, delay and some reverb. Vocal, bass coming in. So I thought the bass line is interesting enough. So in the next part, the guitar melody is coming in. Remove the drums. Split the vocal and the guitar. Guitar, but it's an OTT. Pro Q3. There's retro color, stains, space preset, and of course this reverb. Fire. Also added some more reverb to the chorus from Omnisphere. This one, a shaper box. Just to widen the sounds a little bit at 200%. Still building up to the final part. Because the arrangement, it's still interesting as for 2.5 minutes. So that's it. And I'm going to wrap up the tutorial. Thank you so much for watching this tutorial. Make sure to leave it a thumbs up if you enjoyed it. Also make sure to subscribe. If you like the sounds which I've used, I highly recommend checking out the Afrobeats producer kit. The link is in the description. And I hope to see you in one of my next tutorials.